Well, hello there everyone, my name is Amy, this is The Opinionated Women, and welcome to Crafty Reads, the series where I craft and I talk about the last 5 books that I've read. Yet again, we're here on my couch, we are talking about books, and we are looking at, you're getting a sneak peek, a baby sneak peek, because I'm doing a whole video about this cardigan. But currently I am working on the ribbing, so I'm just going up and down, half double crochet in the back loop. And I'm loving, I'm loving the way it's coming out. It looks freaking sick. I'm about to change color actually. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be working on. And I'm filming this on the 1st of June, which is Pride Month. Yay! So I started my Pride Month reading earlier today. I picked up 2 books. I'm going to be vlogging. So I think this will come out on the Wednesday. My first vlog will be up already. So if you're keen for vlogs, go check that out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm already having fun filming it. So yeah, right. Yeah, that's everything. Let's get into the books, bitch. Okay, we're starting off sad. And I read Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer. I know this book was very popular when it came out. There's a movie about it and everything. It's a 9/11 book, you know, it's one of those. But my sibling had it in their bookshelf, so I decided I'm gonna give it a go, like with their nudging. And I enjoyed it for the most part, but I kind of like struggle to connect with the main character because it's written from a child's point of view. So if you do struggle with that, this is one of those books that, the child's narrative is a little bit harder to read. But basically this child is grieving. It's been a couple of years since his father died in 9/11, and he breaks this vase and he finds this key in his house. And he decides that this was his father's key and he needs to figure out what it opens, because that's going to give him some answers or like give him a message from his father. He like desperately wants to know how his father died. He's like quite fixated on it. It's very sad. And the envelope that the key had on it had the surname Black on it. So he's basically we're following him as he goes throughout the city, trying to track down who this black person is and what the key unlocks, basically. And we know that it's not really about the key. It's not really about what it unlocks. It's him trying desperately to figure out how to process his grief. He doesn't feel like he can talk to his mother. It's been a few years. She's got like a boyfriend. He doesn't feel like he can talk to her about it. So he's sort of getting a fixation elsewhere. And along the way, you know, he meets some very interesting characters. He gets people helping him along the way. And yeah, it's very delicately done. I like the use of mixed media in it. There's like pictures in here. But yeah, it didn't make me cry or anything. And then, as in like so many of my crafty reads recently, I read a Scott Pilgrim, and this one is called Scott Pilgrim Gets It Together. This is volume 4. I've finished all the volumes that I've got because I've been popping them in between reading other books, because like they're great books for you to read in one sitting. But I found them online, so I am going to get hold of them at some point and finish out the series. I can't really tell you exactly what happens in this because it is the 4th in the series, but we basically follow Scott, who fell in love with this girl called Ramona Flowers, and in order to be with her he needs to defeat her 7 evil exes, and that's what we follow. One thing I did want to note about these books though is some of the language is a little dated. Actually, when were these published first? Are you going to tell me? It just goes into it. There we go. 2007. Okay, so it's got 2007 language. It drops the R slur a couple of times, and then it uses like someone comes out as bisexual and immediately they refer to her as being sexy. And I was like, okay, gross. Like, it's definitely the type of men who think lesbian is a porn category. But yeah, I think if it was written now, it would be very different. But just a little heads up. Then I read a book that I've been anticipating for so long, and that's Clap When You Lang by Elizabeth Acevedo. I love Elizabeth Acevedo's work. I've been coveting it for a while, and I finally, in my birthday book haul, I managed to get hold of one of her books, because her work is written in verse. It's not poetry, but it's a novel in verse, and I find that absolutely wonderful. I listened to the Poet X, and it encapsulates your ears. Like, it's so beautiful and rhythmic. Like, it's really wonderful. But it manages to and this one is just the same, but I decided I wanted to read it physically. So, like, if you can see, oh god, whoopsie. The text is quite sparse, but she gets so much across with so few words. Like, it's actually incredible. This book follows two sisters, Kamina and Yahaira, who one lives in the Dominican Republic and one lives in New York, and their father dies on his way to the Dominican Republic. But the thing is about these sisters is that they don't know the other one exists. Their father got two different women pregnant in the same year, one in the Dominican Republic, one in New York, and he would fly back and forth to visit them without them knowing. He would just say that he was going to the Dominican Republic for work or something like that. So we're seen through both of the sisters' eyes and points of view, and how they and how they process their grief and their love for their father, but at the same time, how when they make some revelations and find out these secrets that he's been telling them, like, really feeling let down by someone who's passed away and never been able to resolve it. You know, there's so much depth and nuance to this book, and sadness, and like explorations of grief and feeling trapped, and it's really beautiful. It's just so fucking well done. And I think both characters had a very distinctive voice, which is really nice, and one of the sisters is a lesbian, which is great. Or she's sapphic, she dates women. I was going into reading my pride books, being like, I'm going to read some books from my straight side of my pile. There's a lesbian in this one, and in the next one, there's so much gay sex. Like, it's absurd. But yeah, I love Clap When You Land. I need to read With the Fire on High, and I need to read Family Law. I haven't seen Family Law in any of the shops here, but I'll keep an eye out. Speaking of gay books, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I don't know how I skipped that this was queer, but it's very queer. Oh my goodness gracious. It's a very short book, and it's basically a letter from our main character, Little Dog. That's how they refer to him. And it's a letter to his mother, who can't read. So it's basically a letter that she's never going to actually consume. She can't read it for herself. And he tells her all about his life, all of the things he hasn't been able to tell her. He talks about the nuances of their relationship. He talks about the difficulties of not having his father, and exploring his sexuality and figuring out who he is, and getting his heart broken and losing friends. There's just so much of his life that he's obviously, because of the relationship that he has with his mom, he hasn't been able to share it, but he wants to be able to share it with her. And this book is just him telling his mother all of these different things that affected his life, and it flits backwards and forwards throughout his life, and it's very lyrical. Like, I know people who love to annotate books went wild with this one, because the quotes from it are so stunning. Like, they're quotes that you could get as tattoos, you know, like, they're really beautiful. And I would love to read more from Ocean Vuong because his writing is tip top. And then lastly, we have an audiobook, and that's Death Comes to Marlow by Robert Thorogood. This is the second in the Marlow Murder Club series. I was having trouble with audiobooks. I was having to DNF a bunch of them. They just weren't working for me again, which really frustrates me. I hate when that happens. So I was very stop-start for a while. But I finally... Ooh, I'm so close. Ooh, I'm like one row from being able to change color. Yay. So I can't really tell you too much about this because it is the second in a series, but basically the Marlow Murder Club in the first book was formed by Judith, who's a 70-year-old crossword puzzle setter. So she sets the clues for the crossword puzzle. And she helps solve a mystery along with her friends Susie and Bex, who she meets during the first book. And in the second book, Susie, Bex, and Judith are all back at it, you know, they're back here to solve a mystery in Marlow, in their little town of Marlow. So Judith gets invited to this lord's like pre-wedding party that he's having. He's getting married to a bit of a younger woman, and he calls her, even though he didn't really know her, and tells her to come to the party. So she comes to the party with her friends, and while they're at the party, the lord dies, but he dies behind a locked door. You know, so it's kind of Agatha Christie vibes. It's definitely Agatha Christie vibes. Like when the bad guy finally gets revealed, there is like a whole walk me through how you did your crime moment. So if you like that kind of trope, then you'll really like this, because it's goofy. It's a really, really goofy series because it feels like a British comedy crime show because it's written by a British comedy crime show writer. So that obviously makes complete sense. It is his vibe, and I think you need to read it with that in mind, because otherwise you would be like, okay, no, like this is stupid. But if you read it in a goofy goober vibe, if you read it when you're in a goofy goober mood, then I think you'll find it quite entertaining. And the end was very twisty. There were a lot of things that like were definitely like, they feel very Agatha Christie vibes, and they're like very smart and clever and strange. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and it was definitely a good book to lead me into reading my Pride books. So yeah, that is it. I managed to read all of these books before Pride Month started, so my next Crafty read is going to be all gay. Gay as the day is long, my friends, and it's going to be wonderful. Hopefully at one point I'll be able to do a Crafty reads wearing the sweater. That would be the goal. I always forget to plug my social media, but I am super active on TikTok. I post every day, and I'm quite active on Instagram as well. There's a lot of content there. There's a lot to do with me. I talk about being queer, I talk about mental health stuff, I talk about autism, I talk about being gay. I talk shit about my exes, you know? Like, I post whatever the hell I want over there, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. So all my links are in the doobly-doo. And if you ever want to feel like supporting a queer artist like myself, there is a little Kofi link down below. It's just a little one-time tip jar. I would very much appreciate it. But other than that, like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and I'll check you next time.